Okay, hey guys, first of all, very important here. A couple little things to say before we get started. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. We missed you last week and the week before, but we wanted to thank you for the sacrifice for our country. And just, it's a special day for us. We honor our veterans and just wanted to take a moment to reach out and say thank you. Secondly, thinking about our veterans, there's a bunch of loud noises and some oscillating sounds in this one because it's about the breaker hammer. So if any of you suffer from PTSD because of your sacrifice for our nation, you might want to mute this one or just skip it altogether. So just the trigger warning on that. Okay, also stay tuned to the very end. We're going to put a bunch of hours on this thing, and I'm going to learn a lot in that process, and I'm going to summarize it and just give you some tips and tricks as far as getting you off to the right foot when you purchase or rent one of these things. So stay tuned. Alright guys, last week I told Meg enough's enough, and we looked at the weather and we decided today was the best day to pick this thing up. So we went down to United Rentals and we picked up this hydraulic breaker hammer. Now usually they have these things on track hose excavators, and that's great because the track hoe, it has that big boom and stick, dipper stick, and you can move this thing wherever you want and like peck around, and usually they're a lot more powerful. But we have a skid steer. We didn't want to rent a machine and this attachment, so we just got they rent out the universal skid steer connect version of this. So this is good for 800 foot-pounds, which is pretty impressive. And my skid steer, I guess when you're trying to rent one of these, you got to make sure that your flow rate on your auxiliary hydraulics is good. Mine's 18, and this attachment calls for anything between 10 and 22, so it's kind of perfect. I really hope it just clicks right in. I don't want to mess with couplers anymore. So let's see. They have them hooked together. So my only question was connecting it to my machine. I got universal skid steer hookup, so it shouldn't be a problem. And I did want to mention, they don't know us. We don't work with United in any way. It's just, I don't know, this is the first rental piece of equipment and the first rental from them that I even did. So, but so far so good. There were, no questions, just came and picked it up. So, so far so good. We'll see what this thing can do though. Let's get it hooked up to the machine and make sure everything's working before we cart it up to the hill. So I guess, I assume you guys, everybody watching, knows these things, but I don't know. This is like Little League stuff, but these flat face connectors, you got to make sure your little ball bearing there is lined up with that groove, and then squeeze them together. Let that one drop on the ground. Or my foot. Or Meg's foot. That's all right, I got steel toe. I usually hook up the bottom one first because it's just, the top one will be out of the way. So let's see here. And this is what you can expect. I mean, this is a 1/2 inch flat face connector. Pretty much anything, any skid steer connector is going to have those. So let's just wipe off the dirt. All right, be nice. Okay, that one was nice. Let's try this one. Man, these are heavy duty. This one I'm going to need my clamp on. That's not just my attachments. Nope. Yeah, there's no, I really wish, well, I don't know what to say. I just wish there was a pressure relief of something. And if you guys have like maybe some older machines that actually have the hydraulics on the curl function or the auxiliary still active, like on the tractor, you could jiggle the joystick and relieve the pressure. You can't do that with this machine. It's all electronically run. So when the machine turns off, it deactivates the controls, and it also puts an emergency brake on the machine. Same thing when you lift the lap bar, which I don't have. I just have this stick over here, which I will put on this machine one day. But when you go like this, it engages the brake, and it also deactivates the joystick controls. So until then, but anyway, there's no real good way to, it's moving. I just got to use my clamp. Let me see. This clamp is officially named my grunter, because whenever I'm using it, I'm usually grunting and moaning and complaining.
Sounds about right.
Get on there. Finish him.
You have to grunt.
Click. I like clicks. I call them satisfying clicks. All right. Now you got to do one more grunt to get this off an oversized coupler. Okay. All right, let's peck something. Let's see if this thing goes da 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 da.
You're gonna need some ear protection for sure.
Just in case it goes flying off. right, I think it just needs some grease, really.
Okay.
I think it was seized up a little bit, but if it seems like the thing, now I've never used one of these before, or even like check them out, really, like how to. I mean, I thought you just plug this thing in and go. So I think the needle or the punch, this needs pressure before it will start oscillating. That's number one. Number two, if you have a foot switch for your auxiliary, this is activated by the reverse, which is kind of annoying because you got to put your heel down instead of your foot forward. But the good news is my left control has a button on it that has that function. That's how I open my grapple a lot. Now I'm closing it, I always have to use my foot, but opening it, I could always just hit that button and it'll just like abruptly open it up. There's no kind of like dimmer switch to it, if you want to call it that. No flow control. But anyway, it seems like this is either on or off. I guess the punches per minute is determined by your flow rate. So if you have the machine really ramped up, it's going to go fast. If you have it torqued down, it would be lower. So the slower it's going, the less RPMs are on the machine. So it's, you know, it has a bit of control. So let's grease it up, Meg.
Okay.
And I wish they had done that prior, but it seems like it just needs to be worked in a little bit. But it's definitely, at first I was scared. I was like, I don't have the right flow rate. But that doesn't seem to be the case. All right, let's grease it up. Let's get it up and let's go see what it can do against some rocks. All right, Carmen, here. Go ahead. Come here, Moggs.
And push it.
Oh, didn't have it lined up right. Okay, here we go. Greasy. Greasy time. That should help, right?
I don't think grease ever hurts.
No, and you could tell, like right here, that looks...
Yeah, that's pretty dry.
That looks dry. I'm going to go ahead and bring the trusty old manual grease gun, not the battery operated, the manual grease gun with me. I'm not getting a battery one.
All right, John's on his way up. Before he gets up here, I want to show you what we've been up to. So I know we haven't had an episode for 2 weeks, and this is the reason. These are all the rocks, well, most of them, that we have removed from the house site. It has been so much work and pretty boring, actually. So we didn't want to put you through watching all of this because tearing these things out has been monotonous, to say the least. So we have a few left still that need to come out. So that's why we got the breaker hammer. We're tired and we want to move to the next step. Although we've come really far, we still have more to do. And the rest is in the driveway. So it's going to be worth it. This is the rock that has forced us to get this attachment. It goes right through where the foundation is going. Where the, how come I can't think of the word? The footer. Right, it's going right through where the footer needs to go. That's the corner of the house right there. And it goes this way, right through this rock. So it needs to come out. And the time has come. Eviction notice.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's see what it can do, man. said I need to remove this stuff. I can't really tell what the rock is that I need to break. I mean, that's good because
it's breaking apart.
it is. Yeah. It's not like a miracle machine, but it's stronger than anything we've done. So.
Okay, you want to give a first impression?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
First impression is oh, it's nice and warm. If on a cold day, well, maybe not. I was gonna say it makes a nice hand warmer.
If you want grease on your hands.
Yeah, watch the grease, guys. Okay, so first impression, it's a little annoying on a skid steer because it just kind of wants to slip off a lot. Like if you had a track hoe and just were able to navigate where you want it to go.
Yeah.
And the machine is just steady because you can't move the hammer without driving or like curling or anything like that. So anyway, yeah, there's power there. You got to find the seams of the rocks and peck at them, but I mean, it makes gravel real quick. So now it's a matter of, you know, breaking it up and hauling it away and then breaking it up some more. What do you think, Meg?
I think it's a good start. I think you've gotten further than we have previously, so that's good. What do you think? Pull Ricky in here now and try to...
At least bring his loader over here so we could load it up. At least we could like throw this stuff out by hand.
Okay.
Because if you use the backhoe, it's just going to scrape along stuff that's not moving. So do you want to go grab Ricky and I'll load it up and then we can make a new pile?
Sure.
That good?
I didn't bring on my gloves.
Here, Meg, I get some leather ones back here.
Well, what are you going to wear?
It's okay. I'm a man.
What a gentleman.
I'm a man. Oh, man. What am I going to wear? My Under Armour sneakers.
Why do you have on sneakers?
No. Oh, yeah, that's not noisy. You almost need earplugs with the muffs over.
Yeah.
Wow. It broke a lot more than I thought. All right, guys, it's hammer time. Ha! 90s. I think it's kind of silly, and let me know if you agree. I think it's silly that you can't pin into these rocks. You know, you need like some kind of engineered calculations proving that that rock is big enough to support the load of your footer. I mean, why can't you just expose the rock, clean it off, etch it, and then like put pins into it, make your forms, and then fill it with concrete and have it bind together? Wouldn't it be stronger? I don't understand. Any engineers out there that maybe could shed some light on this subject? I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe you don't have anything to say about it. But I mean, I'm going to, not on the house, because that needs to be all approved and with code and all that. Right over there, in that little section over there behind me, we're going to have a shed similar to the shed that we have down below, but it's going to house all of the equipment for the solar. It's also going to provide a roof covering for our wood boiler. So, and what I mean by that, we'll have the wood boiler have an overhang, and then like the chimney for the wood boiler would come out. So sort of just like a little overhang on the gable. I don't know. I haven't designed it yet, but there's a ton of rocks over there that it's going to be a crawl space also, and we're just going to build it up and put the posts right into the rocks. I might even look for the rocks, expose them, be like, what do we got here? And just find them and then pin right to them. I mean, it's just not going to get more solid than that, in my opinion. I mean, if I go to the backhoe and start moving a rock and it's wiggling around, then, you know, that rock's not big enough to hold up the structure. But, I mean, for crying out loud, you got to remove a rock so you could pour a flat rock out of concrete, which I don't know. I just don't get it. The PSI on a boulder is so much more than concrete. So anyway, so as far as disturbance, we're disturbing this quite a bit too, and this type of soil sort of allows it because it's so heavy in clay. That I'm going to have to come back and recompact it in certain areas, and then once it dries and everything and it's flat, we could come and probe it and make sure that it's satisfying. I think it's 3,000 psi, so as long as we're good there, we'll be all right. But anyway, I'm gonna get going trying to remove this rock. Come on over here, and here's where we are. So see the puddle right there? It went all the way out there, and I destroyed that part of the rock there. And now I kind of have, follow my hand, around this area, there's the rock left. So that's what I'm going to do. I just started, and I already got a nice crack, so that's promising. I really only need, like, there's my stake, roughly. The one that's bent over, I probably ran into it. I probably only have to go out to about right there, but I'm going to clear out too. And our footers, we're going to pour them, we're going to make forms for them. And so the trench, I'm going to dig the trench, and then I'm going to put form boards in the middle. The trench is 24 inches. The forms are going to be 12 inches. So it gives us some wiggle room so they're nice and straight. Okay, let's get this thing going. And I'm going to put it first person view for you. All right, you're with me in the cockpit, guys. Let's get the gloves on. It's cold. It's only 40 degrees, not even. It's actually a nice day. Hey, just wanted to mention something, guys, before I get too far. So this machine has a detent mode right here, It's on and off. You could push it on or off. This button normally acts like a momentary on button. That means if you push it in and hold it, it will be on. When you release it, it turns it off. So detent mode, what it does is make this button more into a rocker switch where you could press it to turn it on and press it to turn it off. I know it's not a rocker switch, but basically like a one tap will be on, one tap will be off. And that's a lot more comfortable, especially if you want to do control with the machine like this. You don't have to keep your finger pressure like this the whole time. So let me demonstrate it to you. I'm going to enable it now. Alright guys, I'm not blown away by the performance, but it's definitely making progress for me. And I think it's, like, I went at this, I feel like I went at this with the wrong technique. I went at this like straight down, thinking, I've seen other guys use these things before on skid steers, and usually they're breaking up concrete pads. Concrete pads are like 4 or 6 inches thick, and like it's very effective because it's like a flat sheet. You know, I mean, if I went at this rock here, which is pretty flat, you know, I'd go right here with this thing and it would break it up nicely. But I have a humongous like spherical boulder or something like that. So now this is turning into like kind of like a chiseling project. And it's like the past few minutes I've been using it more at an angle, like at a 45 or even more sometimes, and going at it and like just chewing off the top. It's more like a chiseling type action, and it's been working out much better for me, because like asking this thing to peck at this at this boulder and find a vein and then split the rock and move all of the earth around it, that's asking a lot from this breaker. Like, there's excavators that can certainly do that, but I don't think this thing could. But if I go at it at an angle and chip off a few inches at a time, the weak spot, being the part on top, is going to fly up and I'll actually make progress. So I'm going to switch techniques. I'm going to do that for a while and see how it goes. I might clean up a little bit now with Ricky and get some of this stuff out of the way. I also wanted to say this is not ideal. I do not want to be out here doing this right now. I do have this rental and I didn't want to just sit on it for a few days, so I wanted to make some progress today and at least try to tackle this rock. So then I'm going to make my way down the driveway and hit some rocks that are down there that are giving me a lot of trouble, that I don't want to unearth. I just want to kind of peck at the top and leave the rest of the rock there. So, but first order of business is to handle this at the house site and make sure I don't really need it anywhere else up here, and then make my way back down. Okay guys, next day here, we are here. You'll recognize this area. This is the boulder shoulder. There was an episode where we took these boulders and built up this terrain over here. I backfilled a little bit. I didn't get too crazy with it yet, but there's a lot more work needs to be done over here. And the reason is these rocks along the side. I didn't know what I was going to do, whether use Dexpan or drill them out. I don't know. So now that I have the breaker hammer, I figured that it's dry enough here on the ground to go get the skid steer, bring it down here, and then not have an issue getting back up to the house site. Because these are here, and then let me show you this one over here. There's a big one. This is like our last turn, and there's a bit of an incline. I want this really big, nice and wide, and I want this area here banked down. So that's going to be the high side, and I want to carve this out and down. I've broken it up quite a bit, but we still have a ways to go, and I definitely want to remove this whole section too. Here, let me widen it up for you. All right, so you could kind of see what I'm going for. I want to carve this out and make that area higher, and even over here, like where the tractor is back over there, see how it's kind of narrow right there? There's a dead tree there, and I want to shave this off and make this whole section wider. So doing all this is going to generate a lot of good gravel too, which I'll be able to just take it and throw it down on the road and get some traction in these areas. So I haven't touched this thing in months. I've just been kind of scared of it, but it's got those veins in the rock that I should be able to come and peck it and get this thing apart, and just enough to get the dirt over top of it again. You know, just leave most of the rock there underneath the ground, and we'll just get this gravel out of the way, and I'll use it in areas to like build up the other bank over here. So I'm just taking a look at this section here. This looks semi-dry. I'm not slipping on my face. I think I'll be able to do this. Look at this pile of rocks, guys. Look at that. That's everything I got out by hand with the machine. Backhoe, skid steer, rock bucket, stump bucket. Whew. It's a lot. Look at this. I mean, it's ridiculous. Look at them all. Like, that's my boot, man. That's a size 12 boot. Look at these rocks. I mean, they go forever. There's a bucket. That's my water level. I'll show you that later. All right, we still have a pond. The house site is still soaking wet. I'm gonna let it dry today and take care of the driveway spots hopefully today. That'd be a good goal. All right, guys, one down. Not bad. There's a look at it, so it kind of goes with that flow of the driveway. That's all I wanted to do. Just break off the top of it. The rest can stay, and we'll spread that gravel around. So, all right, on to the next. Let's go right over here. some more of that out. Oh my goodness, these are heavy. Just real quick, I wanted to summarize my experience with this thing, guys. The punch, just two little safety things. The punch gets extremely hot. Be careful while you rest this thing, especially in the woods with any well, anything combustible really, because I've seen this thing smoke on a piece of wood that was nearby. So be careful with that. The tip gets extremely hot. It will burn your hands. It could cause a fire. Secondly, I would recommend, I've gotten hit with this thing so many times. If I were to purchase and own one of these things, I would take the time and probably put a shield on any open cage skid steer here. Either that or at least get like one of those face shields that would cover up your whole face, because I got one right here and I wouldn't even think about using this thing without safety glasses. So you really get showered with a bunch of debris from this thing.
As spectators as well.
Meg got one too.
Yeah, I got one too.
But I mean, I don't know, just consider maybe a piece of plexiglass in the front or even some fine mesh, something like that that can just go on and off when you're operating this thing. Would be extremely helpful if I owned one of these things. I'd take the time to do that. Okay, another thing, comparing a skid steer or a track loader in this case, using a breaker hammer versus getting an excavator like a track hoe. If you can, get the track hoe. But if you're like me and have a skid steer, you could certainly get a lot of work done with this thing. And we saved a lot of money. This altogether costs about 500 bucks for a week. Didn't make sense to rent it for a day. I think a day was what, like $200 a day, Meg?
Yeah.
Okay, so for 500 you get it for the whole week. And I'm glad we did that, because certainly you do this for a few hours, you're spent, you're tired. So anyway, comparing this to a backhoe, it's tricky. This is not for the novice. Not saying I'm the best operator in the world, I'm far from it, but you have to use the tracks and navigate the thing around so that the chisel is making contact kind of like in the sweet spot. Because when this thing oscillates and goes up and down, it's actually moving the machine around a little bit. It's going to settle into a section, so you have to drive essentially with the tracks and reposition yourself constantly. Now with a backhoe, you have the boom, you have the bucket, you have the dipper stick in the middle. You can position that thing and relatively stay in one section and move just with your controls. You can move those controls and keep penetrating with that hammer. With this, you constantly have to readjust your position, so it makes it difficult for the operator to do so. I found it a little challenging, but I got used to it in no time. And sometimes you're just not in a good position, like you're on a weird angle or something like that. It's hard to get that hammer where you need it, whereas in a track hoe, you can really move that arm wherever you want and get the right position. So just something to keep in mind. These can certainly do it. They're usually advertised to break up concrete, but I knew that this thing was going to be, you know, breaking up that limestone, and we did some brown shale too, which was very satisfying for me. It took care of that no problem. Now another thing, If you recall a few episodes back, I was explaining I still have a hydraulic issue on this machine. I've learned that it's the control valves on the right joystick, the left and right particularly, which causes the curl. At higher RPMs, it wanders. So make sure that if you have an issue like that with your machine, get it resolved before renting one of these things, because a few times I really wanted to throttle up on this thing, but I wasn't able to because it would cause wandering and it would change the position of the chisel. So I had to keep it on the lower side. So I had it around 50% while I was using the attachment here. I also learned going at it at angles like this is very effective if your rock is still on the ground. If you have a rock that's out of the ground, you could go right up to it straight down and just break the thing in half. Not a big issue. But if you have a rock that is in the ground and you just want to shave off the top dome of it, go at it this direction, find your sweet spot, drive forward on it, and just chisel off the top of it. It's very effective because you're trying to break the rock that is exposed versus break the rock and move the entire earth beneath it. That would be asking a lot out of the machine. Okay, another thing about the chisel, don't use it to pry. I mean, when this thing gets into the rock, you want to extract that thing pretty much in the direction it went in, if you can do so. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Do not use it to get in there and try to like wiggle the thing around. You're going to break this machine in here. Now, you did see me using it to like move around rocks like this just to scoot them out of the way. That's not going to cause any damage. So go ahead, use it for that, but don't use it to like get in there and then like move this thing around like a lever. It's not a lever at all. All right, guys, with that said, I'm going to take this attachment, even though I'm sick and tired of rocks. I'm going to use it. I have it for a few more days still. I'm going to get back up to the house site and really try to perfect everything in the driveway, because I think it's time well spent since I have the attachment here. Yeah, so we're going to do that. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. You like that name, Meg?
You're funny.
The Grunter?
Yeah.
And it needs to be like, the model number has to be like, not
Grunter.
1,000, like at least 2,000, but that
Grunter
seems
2000.
like... No, I think we should go 3,000, because like 2,000 was like the millennium, and that came and went like 22 years ago, believe it or not.
The Grunter.
Y2K ready.
Why
Remember
don't you do like the Grunter
5,000?
No. Do like 2200.
We're putting way too much thought into this. Yeah, Maddie, get it!
Maddie, what'd you find?
She's on it.
Oh, they're both there.
Go ahead. Is it a rabbit? Get a rabbit. I'll cook it for dinner for you. That's the deal we have with our dogs.
Deal you have.
If they catch a rabbit, if they're swift enough to catch a cottontail, you know, they're probably going to kill it if they do. But if they do and bring it to me, I'll cook it for them.
They haven't done it yet.
No.
All right. Let's get up there.
Hold on, let me say that again, Meg. Crap all over the place. Please don't show your butt to the camera, okay? Something in there? What's in there? What's in there? You guys look good in your sweaters. Nice threads, yo. Looking good. Okay, beat it.